Some things we learned along the way.
We did know that we needed to provide faculty with a lot more freedom to incorporate it in many different ways, which is why we've done, in our session like today, we tried to show you how we can do it in a more high fidelity versus low fidelity and ways to incorporate this into the classrooms. Faculty need the freedom to be able to use these in a lot of ways, which is why we want to do those mashups as well. We want to give some flexibility, so once you get into our scenarios and start using them, how else could you use this to better facilitate student engagement in your classrooms? That's really what this is all about, is making things better for the students anyway. We do know the students need to make choices and experience consequences. So when we first came on with the original scenarios that were there, everything was really, really prescribed as to what you had to do. We wanted to make sure that the iPad didn't take away from the fidelity that we were using. So we want to make sure that if you are going to go into a high fidelity situation and you want to mimic the realism, we want the iPad to be something that augments that environment rather than takes away from the realism as much as possible. So we really tried to figure out a way in the best way we could in order to make that happen. We do know that adding technology requires a lot of planning and a lot of training. This is not just on our end helping you, this will be on your end helping the rest of the staff kind of figure this out. And this is also helping the students run through it. As you can see, this is, there's a learning curve with this. It takes a little bit of time to kind of get the gist of how things go, and we know that that's a really important part of this. It can be frustrating. We don't want anybody to be so frustrated that they stop using it. So we really want to make sure that you know that we're here. We want to be able to walk people through whatever you need. We're available. We just want to make sure that we get through that process. We did know that subject matter experts were really important, not only in the design phase, but in the review process, and we are doing that. Fox Valley is contracted to review most of our scenarios, and the disciplines that they don't have, we are contracting with other people. So not only do we use subject matter experts while we're writing and designing them, we kind of tag people that are friends that we know, and we find people along the way, but we also, when the review process happens, they are done by subject matter experts in that field. So a respiratory therapist is evaluating the respiratory therapy ones. Nursing is evaluating nursing, and that's the way that it works all the way through. So we're really trying to make sure that these are really good products in the end. And a big caution at the end, Wi-Fi really does matter. You cannot expect to go into any classroom in your college and make sure that if you put 20 iPads out there that they're all going to work at that time. Inevitably, Wi-Fi will fail. It happens all the time. We know enough now when we go to conferences, we bring backups. That's why we have all those videos and we don't automatically run them, because you never know if the sound's going to work or what's going to happen. You have to get in your classroom and the environment you're going to use it, get it working. It will work. It's just what process do I need to make it work at that time? And you might not have the bandwidth in every classroom to use all of those iPads. So talk to your IT departments. How do we increase bandwidth here? We learned in our HPS lab where we're using this that there's a total dead zone there. So we're like, okay, this is not going to work for us. So that we had to have them come down and install extra equipment so that we could make this function throughout the whole simulation lab. So it's a really big deal that you trial all this stuff out and figure out, if one iPad works, that's awesome. Don't expect that 20 of them are not going to work in that same spot, because it probably isn't going to happen. And
the way we figured that out, we had a dead spot, is the iPad was working fine in pre-brief, and then as they walked it into the simulation lab and tried to go scan the patient, it froze. So if you have it freeze on you, that's usually the problem. It's usually the Wi-Fi.
The other thing that we did learn, what really is very helpful is, like I said, one iPad per group is the best way to go. More than one iPad, you can see how that would start to get really confusing. So whenever you're doing it, a group of students, one iPad works best. And it's a lot better to try to, if you want to project this up onto a screen, our little adapters work well, but you got to have the right ones. And notice that there are issues with sound. You got to really work with your different IT departments to make sure that works, because the connectors don't often work in the right way. The Apple TVs work great. We like to use them in our HBS lab as opposed to the other connections, because it lets us the freedom to kind of move things around a little bit, and it projects it right up onto the screen. It's a $100 purchase, so it's not obtrusive in any way. It's a nice way to be able to use the scenarios, especially in a simulation lab setting where you can just project it right up onto the screen. I will say there's what's that app called that they can use?
Airplay?
Airplay. Don't use that. What happens when you try to, we did that at first without the Apple TV, we downloaded the Airplay app, which is supposed to kind of mimic that. What happens with our videos is that it doesn't sync, the sound and the video doesn't sync together, and it just looks stupid the whole time. And it's really irritating, so that doesn't work real well with the video component of it, it just
And
doesn't.
again, it goes back to the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Because it's taking what you have on your iPad, going through Wi-Fi to their servers, coming back and displaying. Whereas with the Apple TV, it's directly from the iPad to the TV.
It just works way better. Yes, ma'am.
Speaking of purchasing things, I'm a grant manager here at Marine Park, and we had some extra money that we're coming towards the end of the grant on March 31st, and so we just bought more iPads and more of the Oscars. We got more printed. So you might want to check with your grant manager at your college and see if you have extra funds left in the TAC4 grant, because it's a really good way to get some things
really
that you
is.
need for a rise.
And the Apple TVs are really, they're so helpful, and really it's not an expensive purchase in the end. Like I said, it's $100 for one of those, you attach it to any monitor, and it works really great to make the stuff function really well. We already did our demo, this was, kind of did through us. Are there any other questions that anybody has for us? Any questions, things that we can help them with right now?
Think you'll try it sometime this semester?
So we've done the workshop, we've kind of gone through everything, and you're gonna go back and you're gonna try to do this again, you're probably gonna get stuck somewhere. That's why our contact information is here. We left at least one of our business cards, I ran out halfway through. Go figure. All the way through. Please contact us, not only do you have our business cards, they're on the website, you can find us, we are at CBTC and we're searchable. So whatever you need to do to get a hold of us, you can go through the website and email us that way. Don't get stuck and just give up on it. Please let us know. We would love to help you through it and make sure that you're following the right path, for sure. All right, thank you.